Hi, and welcome back. We're all getting used to online teaching by now. So the next thing that teachers and students will be worrying about is how to make online exams. In this video, I'm going to show you how I've made a digital exam using ANS that I will now distribute among my students so that they can actually practice making an online exam before they get exposed to the real thing. Let's have a look. Okay, so let's log into ANS and sign in. I have already signed in earlier today, so I will be taken directly to my page. You may have to enter your credentials first. I go to courses, and you can see I've set up a course that is available to the entire university called Example Online Examination. And within that course, I have made an example exam to try out ANS that we will look into later. If you want to set up a new exam, you click this red plus button and then you say select assignment type, digital test. That will create an online exam. You give it a name, for example, exam. It's going to be an individual test for individual students, not a group exam. The grading options will be I will review them myself. Self-review will be the students review them, peer review, other students will review them, but for an ordinary exam, this is the standard option. It will be available to all students from April 1st till, well, let's say, the end of April. The entire month, students can use this to try out the system. For this particular exam, I want students to be able to start the test whenever they feel like it. Usually, you would restrict accessibility by setting a password so that you can actually give the password to the students at a certain time when they want to start the exam, and that way you can control well, when the students are allowed to make it, and you can set a time limit here, but I'm not going to do that for this one. And then when you create it, you start from an empty exam in which you can fill in something for the cover page, and you can add exercises. For example, if I click exercise, add exercise here, I get a warning because, well, there's still unfilled exercises. And then here I can give a general exercise title, and I can start adding questions. And when I start adding questions, I get options for what kind of questions I want to put into my exam. In this video, I will cover the file upload, I will cover multiple choice questions, I will cover a mathematical equation, and most importantly, I will cover open questions. The other ones I will leave to you to figure out or to ask teacher support for help if you want to use these specific ones. So now let's go to the exam that I've already pre-created. In the cover page, you see that there's three covers. The first one is the one that the students will see before they actually open up the exam. The second one is as soon as they've entered the exam, after you've given them the password, for example, they will see this one, and that's the one that is closest to what you would usually put on the cover page of an exam. So also don't forget to put in some explanation of how the grading will be done, and put in whatever students are allowed to use during the exam, for example. And after the assignment, well, there is still some kind of description left, which I decided to thank the students for actually trying this test exam. And then we go to the questions. So the first, I've made two sets of questions. The first set of questions is about multiple choice, and the second set of questions is about open questions. The multiple choice section starts with a description, a general description, which you can edit. If you click on it, you get a possibility to edit it, which also means that you can actually enter pictures or other things that you want to make visible. You have to prepare those outside this ANS environment first, and then upload them into ANS. That may be a bit of a hassle because you actually have to make sure that the pictures are the right size before you upload them. You cannot change the size of the picture here. Even if I click edit, I don't get options to actually change the size of the picture. That's a bit of a tricky thing, at least as far as I know. And then there's two types of multiple choice questions that I uploaded. On the left, you can actually see the editor for the questions. On the right, you can see a preview of how it will look for the students. So if I click on this first question, I get this edit field again. I can change the question here if I want to. And I get a field in which I can give the answers. I could add another choice. For example, I now had a single a question with a single correct answer. I could add the choice D if I want to. And then after I click save, it also updates on this side. And you can see that students, well, they will have to click one of the answers and then continue. The second way of having a multiple choice question is by having one that in which you allow multiple answers. I use the product rule here so that I can just click the ones that are right, and then ANS automatically spreads the score evenly among the right answers. If you think some answers are more important than others, you unclick this product rule, and then you can actually assign different weights here up to a total score that is over here. If this is actually a higher score than the total number of points, then the total number of points will be used as a maximum by ANS. So you have to think a little bit about how ANS calculates the total scoring of a question. You can ask teacher support if it is unclear to you how this is done exactly. So then I get a question in which multiple answers can be clicked. Well, this is obviously wrong. Now, for open questions, the general idea is, of course, open questions are more difficult. They cannot be automatically graded by ANS. You have to grade them manually. But the simplest way to ask an open question is just ask a question that students can answer using text. And that's what I did for the first question. And I've given it a maximum number of words, which I can actually, if I click options over here, I can set a word limit or not. There's multiple other options as well. You can have a look at them yourselves. And then in the answer field, I get a box where I can edit, and the student can simply fill in his answer here. Student fills in his or her answer here. And you can see that it counts the words. Well, probably it counts the spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So his, her is counted as one word. But in this way, you can limit the size a little bit. Of course, the box actually changes together with what the student answers in size. So for ordinary text, that is a fine way of building an answer. But if you have something that students need to draw, or if handwriting for students is important to upload as well, then you need something different. The most straightforward option in ANS to have file upload is by choosing a file upload question. When you click this add question button, you get here file upload, and then you get a question like this where you simply fill in the question, and once you click save, the students get a way to upload a file here. For example, they can click a picture that they've got stored somewhere and they upload it here. Of course, to do this, the student has to prepare that file in some environment outside the ANS examination. So this does mean that the student has to use the rest of his computer basically for the examination as well. The same is true if you phrase it as an open question, but that has several advantages. Using a file upload, the system does not check for the type of file that you're uploading. So it could be that as a teacher, you get files that you cannot really handle, and then you have to think about what you're going to do with strange files that you get uploaded. If you, on the other hand, make it an open question, just like the first open question that I had, where students can fill in a box with some text, then students can actually also click on image here and simply drag an image to this box. So it works a little bit differently. But they can drag an image as an answer and upload that. That way you are sure that you get answers that you can actually view afterwards, um, because the student can already see that his uploaded file was processed properly. So I think this is to be preferred over the standard uh, upload a file, but maybe you have more complicated examinations in which you want them to upload a zip file that has code in it or something like that. That is supported by ANS if you need it. Finally, sometimes it's possible to avoid having to upload anything at all. For example, if you're working with mathematical formulas and you want the students to give you a formula, then you can give them a mathematical equation question and then a answer sheet, answer box like this will pop up, in which the students can edit uh, an equation. Of course, that takes a little bit of practice before you can actually do so properly. Let me test if it also understands LaTeX. Well, it understands some for sure. So this can be convenient, but it can also be tricky because the students have to get used to this editor first before you can actually ask them to upload anything. So these are the options you roughly have when you're preparing a digital exam in ANS. I suggest that you just start playing around with it and that you ask teacher support to help you if you have any questions about finalizing this. I'm going to ask teacher support now to help me in setting this up online and making it available to the students. So the actual link towards the final result will be in the description of this video. Good luck and stay healthy.